Hi everyone, here are some quick tips on how to use adjectives in Spanish. First of all, I assume you know what an adjective is. Adjectives are words that describe nouns. So for example, in this sentence here, I am tall. The word tall is the adjective. I am the subject, so I is the noun, am is the verb, tall is describing how I am. So the word tall is an adjective. Hopefully you knew that already. And here's a list of common adjectives in Spanish that we've seen in our textbook. And if you've looked at this carefully, you might have noticed something strange. After a lot of the words, not all of them, there is in parentheses the letter A. So we're going to talk about why that is and how to use these words. So all those words were adjectives, and the rule with adjectives, similar to articles, which we should know already, they have to match the noun because every noun is either masculine or feminine. So when you use the article and the adjective around the noun, they all have to match. So for example, in this first example here, el chico alto, which word is the noun? Chico is the noun because it's boy or guy. El means the, alto means tall. In the dictionary, alto is one of those words there in the top right that has the letter A in parentheses after it. That means, depending on who you're describing, it changes. If you're describing a boy, you use alto. If you're describing a girl, the word changes to alta, so it ends in the letter A instead. And if you're talking about multiple people, like, oh, the tall boys or the tall girls, you also add an S. So look carefully at those 4 examples and notice the difference between them. One other thing that you might notice, which word is the adjective? Alto. Notice where it's placed. In English, you usually use the adjective before the noun. You would say the tall guy or the tall boy. In Spanish, often the noun and the adjective are swapped in position. So it's kind of like you're saying the boy tall. Another confusing thing about Spanish, but one thing to keep in mind. There's a bunch of special rules. It's kind of a lot to take in at once. Hopefully you've got this written down in your notes somewhere and you can practice it over time. But you'll notice that not all the adjectives on that list we saw earlier end in the letter O. Sometimes they end in the letter E, like inteligente for intelligent or smart. That one stays the same whether it's masculine or feminine, but you would still add an S at the end to make it plural. Some of them end in a consonant. So the word for young, joven, that ends in the letter N. N is not a vowel, it's a consonant. So it automatically also matches both genders. So the young boy, the young friend, whether it's a boy or a girl, it stays the word joven. And then there's some other rules about, I always joke, the hardest word is the word hardworking, trabajador. If it's a single man that is hardworking or boy, trabajador. The female version is trabajadora. And then there's some rules at the bottom for what to do to make it plural. I wouldn't expect you to understand all these rules. There's all these special cases, but you need to be aware that these rules do exist. You usually will slowly learn them over time, but it's good to have these written down somewhere handy for you to refer to in order to help you remember. And some overall tips, big ideas to keep in mind. Make sure you are matching the adjectives to gender and number. So if you're describing a person that is a man or a woman, it changes. If it's a group of men or a group of women, it changes. Or if it's just, remember, all objects, like a chair has a gender. So chair, silla, in Spanish is feminine. So you would have to make sure if you're describing the chair that you would have to make sure that the adjective describing the chair is also matching it. Adjectives usually go after nouns in Spanish. So it's not like you're saying the tall guy, you're saying the guy tall. And the last thing, the big idea to keep in mind, there's a bunch of special rules. Don't worry about memorizing those all right away. Hopefully you'll have them somewhere as reference and you'll slowly learn them over time.